Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Mogera Idris, the first reporter of this group. For today's topic, we will be talking about the methods of speech delivery. Now, let's have the warm-up. In the in-call messages, write the name of one local or international personality. Make sure that the personality is still alive. Examples can be world leaders, scholars, show hosts, writers, educators, medical practitioners, lawyers, fashion designers, and others. For the situation, your dean assigns you to represent your school in a summit. There, you meet a local or international personality. You realize that you had the perfect opportunity to talk to that person. What would you say? And now, let's define first what is impromptu speaking. When you deliver a speech without any prior preparation, it's known as an impromptu speech. The word impromptu means without preparation or organization. While impromptu speaking may seem intimidating and not as glamorous as a well-prepared speech, it's an essential skill to master. You may find yourself in various scenarios where you are asked to share a few words. Here are some common instances that often encourage an impromptu. Introducing yourself at networking events. Filling in for a late speaker. You are asked to give a toast at a company party. Impromptu speaking. Advantages and disadvantages. For the advantages, spontaneous or natural speaking, more focused and brief. Disadvantages, tendency to be disorganized, lacks connection with the audience, nerve-wracking for unexperienced speaker or beginners. How to effectively deliver an impromptu speech. Once you are requested to say something, force for a moment to plan in your head what to say. State your main point briefly and deliver it in a phrase your audience can follow. Draw upon personal experiences or knowledge. Use gestures and movement that arise naturally from what you are saying. Be aware of the potential impact of your communication. End by saying thank you. And that would be all for my part. I will be giving the floor to the next reporter. Thank you.
So, good day everyone. I am Ivro Siding Lasa and I will be reporting extemporaneous speech. So, what is an extemporaneous speech? It is actually a well-prepared speech that relies on research, clear organization, and practice delivery. It is neither read nor memorized, so it is never delivered exactly the same way. Most extemporaneous speakers rely on notes of some sort using index cards or technology such as PowerPoint. Because extemporaneous speeches are not read or memorized, the extemporaneous speaker needs to stay in the moment and be able to think on their feet, a process which can be stressful but can also allow for a high level of spontaneity, leading to a natural conversational style. Because they are composed almost entirely, extemporaneous speeches have a higher level of spontaneity. However, because they require extensive research and preparation, they tend to have significantly more depth and therefore are generally the preferred method of speech delivery. So, what are the advantages and disadvantages of extemporaneous speech? A well-prepared extemporaneous speaker will know his topic very well and in detail, which will make him sound like an expert in his field, therefore gaining the trust of his audience. Also, the flexibility of extemporaneous speeches allows for crowd interaction. The speaker can choose to involve audience members during the presentation. He can also answer questions in the middle of his speech to ensure the crowd understands the presentation's topic as it is being presented. And for the disadvantages, people who fear public speaking or beginners should not consider extemporaneous speech as the right type of speech. Crowd members may interpret nervousness and stress as poor preparation even if the speaker is an expert on the topic. Next is the problem with extemporaneous speech is that it requires strong oratory skills. And not everyone speaks well, and if you don't know the topic well enough or are prone to nerves or stumbling over your words as you think, then your speech will sound disjointed and poor and not all engage the audience, thus making you seem like you don't know the facts. So, how to effectively deliver an extemporaneous speech? First, you choose your topic, then make a thesis statement, then create points that support your thesis. Next, develop support for your thesis. And next is write your introduction and conclusion. And lastly, you may deliver your speech. Before we proceed to the next reporter, let's have a warm up. So you think of a song that you have memorized by heart. This song may have created a great impact on you and inspired you to see life positively or helped you get up after a failure. Choose a stanza, chorus, or refrain, whatever is most important to you. Deliver the lines in class as if they were part of a speech. Make sure to vary the volume, rate, and pitch of your voice when delivering the excerpt. Focus on appropriate facial expressions and gestures during the delivery.
Hello everyone, this is Resnaradang and I will be tackling about the memorized speech. So, what is memorized speech? This speech is prepared and memorized before the speaking event. It harms the connection with audience even more than manuscripted speeches because the focus of the speaker is on remembering the text rather than communicating and relating to an audience. So, when we hear the word memorize, we already concluded that the piece that we are going to present is already prepared and mastered. Memorized speaking is reciting a written message that the speaker has committed to memory. The example of this speaking is the actors, of course. They recite from memory whenever they perform from a script in a stage play, television program, or movie. So when it comes to speeches, memorization can be useful when the message needs to be exact and the speaker doesn't want to be confined by notes. The advantage to memorization is that it enables the speaker to maintain eye contact with the audience throughout the speech. Because, as I was saying earlier, the focus of this speech is to memorize and to recite from memory. So it is usually prepared with some time because the information is something the speaker needs to own. Another example is the poetry contest. In this contest, the poet writes about a subject that he chose or was chosen, but then he needs to present in front of an audience and have recorded in the memory everything he is going to say. One of its advantages is being free of notes. So being free of notes means that you can move freely around the stage and use your hands to make gestures. If your speech uses presentation aids, this freedom is even more of an advantage. So we need to make gestures so that we can't be so obvious that we memorized our speech. As a student, we are so familiar with this memorization speech because we already experienced doing a speech, public speaking, or drama stage or stage play. However, memorization can be tricky. First, if you lose your place and start trying to ad-lib, the contrast in your style of delivery will alert your audience that something is wrong. They can easily observe that something's wrong because, as I was saying, their focus and attention is on you only. If you go completely blank during the presentation, it will be extremely difficult to find your place and keep going. Obviously, memorizing a typical 7-minute classroom speech takes a great deal of time and effort, and if you aren't used to memorizing,
Hello everyone, I am Jason Jean Painaga, your next reporter, and now let us move on to the last method of speech delivery, which is the manuscript speaking. What is a manuscript speech? It is the word-for-word iteration of a written message. When we say iteration, it is the repetition of the speech or the exact words to a particular event. This can be extremely important in some circumstances, particularly at a more formal affair when your speech must be said exactly as written in order to convey the proper emotion or decorum the situation deserves. When a speaker delivers the speech, he or she have each word planned, much as a prepared script. He organizes and arranges his or her thoughts and ideas that will be conveyed or read word for word to the audience. Also, in manuscript speaking, the speaker maintains his or her attention on the printed page, except when using visual aids. This is for the speaker to be guided and not forget what should be spoken next or might be freeze at the moment of the presentation. It is generally employed during official meetings, conferences, and when the speech needs to be recorded. Because manuscript speaking is used especially when there is a time constraint and the content of the talk is of prime importance. Some of the examples of manuscript speaking we have newscasting with a teleprompter or an auto-cue device, presenting the legal proceedings and verdict in court, reading a statement about organizations' legal responsibilities, reading the rules and criteria in a contest, and proclamations or giving an award or honor to a person. Also, a president's or prime minister's nation address. Manuscript speech has its advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of using a manuscript is that the speaker can ensure repetition of the written words. He or she can choose words very carefully. He has time to rehearse and prepare himself to the presentation, as well as helps deliver sensitive or critical issue to the audience. However, the disadvantage with a manuscript is that the speaker have many words in front of them on the page, or he or she may sound unnatural because it is being read. Lack of movement and gestures because busy focusing on what to speak, and also lacks of eye contact or connection with the audience because eyes are glued to the script. How to effectively deliver a manuscript speaking? As a speaker, you can type your manuscript in a short, easy to scan phrases. You shouldn't read the speech too quickly. You should vary the rhythm, inflections, and pace of your delivery. Rehearse the speech over and over until you sound natural. Also, you can use gestures and movement to add nonverbal interest. And observe accomplished news anchor and note how conversational they sound when they deliver the news. And that's all our report. Now let us have a recap on the 4 methods of speech delivery. We have impromptu speaking, manuscript speaking, memorized speaking, and extemporaneous speaking. So for our evaluation, for our test 1, just choose the letter of the correct answer. Number 1, it is the ability to express thoughts and feelings delivered to an audience. A. Stage play. B. Oral communication. C. Speech. D. Debate. Number 2. A speech without advanced preparation. A. Impromptu. B. Manuscript. C. Oral recitation. D. Extemporaneous. Number 3. A speech delivered from memory. A. Declamation. B. Manuscript. C. Memorized. D. Extemporaneous. Number 4. A speech where exact words written out. A. Impromptu. B. Debate. C. Memorized. D. Manuscript. Number 5. A speech carefully planned but not scripted. A. Impromptu. B. Extemporaneous. C. Memorized. D. Debate. Number 6. Below are the advantages of manuscript speaking. Except A. Can sound unnatural. B. Can choose words very carefully. C. Ensure repetition of the written words. D. Rehearsed and timed. For our test 2, enumeration, items 7 to 10. What are the 4 methods of speech delivery? In any order. Now, let's check your answers.